All right. So we know that the best type of traffic a site can get is free traffic, organic traffic from Google. Everyone wants to know how to get more organic traffic to their site. Nowadays, we know that people assume the best stuff is at the top. So Google isn't actually a search engine anymore. It's in effect a recommendation engine. So we see the top results as the best, not only as a way to find information or discover information or research. And because we know that Google adds a lot of data from many sources when they rank sites, people click mostly on the first couple of results. Rarely do people click on results below number 3, and rare yet do they click on page 2. So this is our problem, right? So we're going to do a study together today. This is something that we did at my agency, The Search Guru, and what we found was really interesting. Yep. So what we've seen recently is that pure SEO metrics are not enough anymore. We've been researching this situation and want to dig into the details with you. So we noticed shortly after engaging with this client that has a particularly high domain authority on their website, but they weren't able to rank on page 1 in Google for an important key term for them. And with the domain authority they have, that's where you would expect to see this brand on page 1. Instead, they were being outranked by competitors with lower domain authorities and other metrics, as we'll walk through. It wasn't just a lower domain authority competitor, it was other that were competitors that our client was outperforming on other metrics too, beating them, but not in Google. Very interesting. So notice here on the screen the page authority column. Page authority shows how valuable Google finds a page to be. This metric comes largely, well, exclusively from the number of links that there are to a particular page. It shows how many people recommend the page by linking to it. The more backlinks a page has, the higher its page authority. And if the website has a higher domain authority on top of that, it just boosts the page more. It means that Google considers the website to be a reputable resource. So you can see here that URL4 is ranking on page 2, position 14. That's rank 4 on page 2. And it has the highest page authority and domain authority, I might add, of all these 4 URLs. The URLs above it are all lower. This is very unusual historically. Also, please know that these URLs are all competitors offering similar services. None of them are showing comparisons between different service providers. We call this out because when you search for something in Google, it's harder to rank a single provider's page. It's easier to rank a page that compares 10 service providers, for example, because each of the brands are related and Google considers them related to the term the searcher is looking for, which boosts the authority of the page and by extension, the ranking of the page. So for example, you're looking for sneakers online. If a page has all the famous brands of sneakers on the page, Google will consider this page to be of more value because when users are searching for general information, it makes sense that they see comparison pages. So it's harder to rank just one service provider page, and it's easier to rank a page that compares many different providers on it. So in this case, rest assured, we are looking at single provider pages. They are absolutely similar URLs, and the one with the higher page authority was outranked, which is our URL number 4. You can see URL number 1 is on position 3, URL number 2 is on position 7 on the first page. URL number 3 is on the last of the first page at ranking number 10. Another metric that is important is the number of backlinks. And you can see here that URL 1 and 3 have a higher number of backlinks than URL number 4. But yeah, it's not only the number of backlinks, it's also the quality of the backlinks. URL4, even though it has slightly lower backlinks compared to the other competitors, well, its backlinks are of higher authority and quality. I can tell you this. So it just stirs the pot, more mystery. So the bottom line here is that URL4 clearly has the highest page authority of all the URLs here. URL2 has far fewer backlinks and a much lower domain authority, and it still outranks URL4. Hmm. Now, this is a really interesting conversation, not just for brands like our client that are very large and established in their space, but also for folks who are like URL number two. If you're smaller and you're not on par with the big dogs for backlinks, for instance, you can still take advantage of this. You can win. And let's talk about how you do that. It's pretty exciting. All right, so a couple more metrics. Let's look at page speed before we move on and talk specifically about how to take advantage of this new, uh, relatively new gaining in power element of Google's algorithm. Page speed. Google knows that if a page doesn't load fast enough, users just bounce back to the search results page. We don't want to wait. The first number in this column is the mobile page speed. So you see there are two numbers separated by a slash. The second number is the desktop page speed. You can see here that the desktop page speed is higher than the mobile. It's harder to get fast on mobile. It's just what's so. And this metric is not great across the board for any of these competitors. All of these websites need to improve their page speed, right? Not uncommon. Next, let's look at the number, the last column, the number of words on the page. The more content, the more information. So people are likely to find what they're looking for. URL number 4 is second highest based on the word count. URL 1 and 2 have far fewer words. And yes, URL4 still ranks below them. Why is URL4 underperforming despite being part of a very reputable domain name? We realized that all the other URLs had done a better job explaining what they offer and how they do it. Their pages were all more useful to their visitors. Yeah. And while we cannot see the data via our third-party tools for metrics like bounce rate and time on site, after reviewing the pages themselves, trust me when I tell you, we can safely assume that URL4 has a higher bounce rate compared to the others and lower time on site. So mystery solved. Now we know what to do. Instead of trying to improve the metrics we saw in this table, we focused on improving the page content metrics, the time on site and bounce rate by helping people find what they're looking for on the website more easily and explaining the services better, plus organizing the information via a better structure.